Let's talk about the gun referendums and the fallout from all of that, which I didn't expect it to be as severe as it has been, but it has, nonetheless. First of all, I don't think a single one of the three questions passed with less than 80% support. So clearly all three dealing with requiring handgun permits, banning assault weapons, and then also enacting a red flag law, hugely popular with Memphis voters. And now City Council is like, okay, we got this passed. There's a feeling of goodwill here that maybe we can get state lawmakers to go on board with this. Let's listen to City Councilwoman Jerry Green.
There's very few things that across the board people agree with 80% or more. This is one of them. Common sense gun legislation needs to happen in Tennessee. The city's bleeding out, and we're asking for emergency help from the state.
Her point is well taken. The city does feel like it's under siege when it comes to guns necessarily. They are planning this retreat where they will invite state lawmakers to talk about maybe enacting some of these measures statewide, but we all know this is not going to go very far. In fact, I have to throw up a quote here from State Senator Brent Taylor, Republican from Eads. He said, quote, "There is no way in hell I'm going to participate in a discussion to disarm law-abiding citizens in America's most dangerous city when no one locally is holding criminals accountable." All right, Otis, I set it up for you. Go.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect from Brent Taylor. I mean, he is who he is. I just don't think there's any chance that any legislator, Republican, especially in leadership, is going to do anything to change state laws related to guns. It's a waste of time. I do think, and I've said it before, I thought that the referendums were valuable just to let the Memphis voters have a voice. But now they have a voice. And we're going to have to wait until I'm probably long dead and gone. And
until hell freezes over. That's how long.
That's the hell.
Well,
that's the hell that Brent was talking about there. Until hell freezes over before the legislature changes and agrees that local communities like Memphis need to have some common sense gun laws. Until then, it's not happening.
Well, since we're talking about hell, let me play devil's advocate with you. I think Senator Brent Taylor's point is well taken. Why would we have discussions about changing gun laws when the city has done very little internally to deal with its crime problem?
Well, I agree with half of that. I agree that there's no need for any legislator to go to these retreats. It's a waste of time. But to say that we've done nothing about crime, we're trying to do some things here. We're trying to limit the number of guns that are on the streets, but we are hampered by the legislature. So I agree with half of what you say, but none of this is going to happen. Those referendums are going to sit on a shelf somewhere until maybe 50, 100 years from now.
Jerry Green's point.
Sure.
Well taken. We've seen the polls.
Yeah.
Americans, including gun owners, 80 to 90% when it comes to those three kinds of things do believe they can get behind, but this state legislature doesn't seem inclined to do even that.
Yeah, at first I'll say I agree with your analysis of the political consequences. I don't think anything's going to happen here, but I'm just confused. I think all this energy is misdirected. We know that this is not going anywhere. We know that it's illegal for municipalities to pass laws about gun laws in this state. So we know that. And politics is the art of the possible. We also know that we can take steps immediately that will be effective, that will be legal, that will be enforceable to attack this crime problem. So the city council talks out of both sides of its mouth. On one side, it says, well, we need sensible reform gun laws, which I think I'm sympathetic to some of that. But the other side, it says, well, we don't want police pulling people over for so-called pretextual stops when motorists are violating ordinances or the law. We know those things can actually affect and decrease crime, but they don't want to do that. We have low-hanging fruit out there to address the crime problem immediately. We have judges that are letting people out on no bail. We have a law and order problem that can be addressed by rigorous enforcement of the laws on the books. So again, I may be sympathetic to some of these ordinances. I understand that they're overwhelmingly popular. They're not going anywhere. Everyone knows that. They're against the law. Why can't we do the things that we know we're able to do? I think a lot of this is just political theater.
Unfortunately, Chris is absolutely right. The whole process, the whole initiative was an exercise in civic political futility. And it's surprising to me, the chairman of the city council, at least presently, won't be in 2025, J.B. Smiley is an attorney. There's more than one attorney on the city council. They know the things that Chris just said. And of course, the referenda passed with an overwhelming majority because it's an emotional issue. People feel strongly about it. Of course, if you ask them on the ballot, would you like to have fewer guns on the street? Absolutely. Yeah. Look, man. The city council, and this is where I really agree with Chris, the city council has other low-hanging fruit. If the city council wants to lessen the amount of crime, reinstitute inspection of cars, reinstitute requirements that won't let you put a tent on your window where the police
Never
can't
enforced.
see inside. The city council can do that. They are not doing it.
The cars without mufflers and all the noise they make.
Yeah.
That's not enforced either. So there's a lot of lawlessness going around.
More cops on the
littering.
street.
We've talked about littering.
An absolute exercise in futility, and I hate to see it. I agree with Mary Young, who says, I agree with the sentiment, but why would we waste this time ticking off the state legislature? We're already at odds with one another.
So we had two gun rights groups, the Gun Owners of America and the Tennessee Firearms Association, file a lawsuit against the city and interim police chief C.J. Davis this week, objecting to the gun referendums, saying that if they were to become an ordinance, that would be violating their constitutional rights, to which J.B. Smiley, the aforementioned, had this to say.
When people bring frivolous lawsuits, there's something called Rule 11. You can bring a Rule 11 sanction against a lawyer for bringing a frivolous lawsuit.
So you're the lawyer here, Chris. The Rule 11 apply here? When this is a frivolous lawsuit?
No, from a legal perspective, I don't think it is. Now, maybe he thinks it's politically frivolous because I don't think they're going to win on the merits. But no, I don't think a constitutional lawsuit of this nature is quote, frivolous, where the court's going to throw it out and then punish the people who brought it. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Supreme Court has upheld restrictions like this before. We're talking about a handgun carry permit requirement. We're talking about a ban on carrying a certain assault weapons, whatever that means, in certain areas, and then red flag laws. I think all of those laws have been determined to be constitutional by the Supreme Court. That doesn't mean that will stay the same always, but yeah, I don't think those lawsuits are going anywhere.
Let's say that they are frivolous. The city of Memphis can afford to defend another lawsuit? Good gracious, man. We got a $500 million lawsuit, at least one pending against the city now. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm not a lawyer. I've covered a lot of them in the courts as a reporter.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that too. I do think it's a frivolous lawsuit because no ordinance has been filed yet. You don't have an action yet. Sure. Because nothing has happened except the voters voting. You don't have anything to sue over. Yeah. And you're talking about that other multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Well, that goes back to what you just said. The multi-million-dollar lawsuit was because somebody made a pretextual traffic stop, and poor Tyree Nichols is dead. And that's what the city council was addressing then. And so let's not come back now and beat up on the city council for trying to address something that caused a man to get killed needlessly. And it's not the city's fault that judges are letting people out. The city council does not overrule and override and monitor the judges.
You're right.
That's where the emotions come in. And I just think the city council can take care of a lot of more substantive matters that would really have an impact on the issues that they're trying to
This goes to the point, and I'm running heavy here on this segment, but there were people from the mayor, Paul Young, to Richard Smith, saying they did not like these referendums because come January 1 or soon after, Memphis is going to be coming to Nashville and lawmakers in Nashville with its handout saying, we need money for lots of things, including FedEx Forum, and we're going to talk about the stadiums here in a minute. But we did not bring any goodwill from the Republicans we're going to be needing help from.
There's a constructive way to have these conversations. I don't think this was it, but I think you're right. The city council does have limited control, but it can put more police on the streets. It can demand that the police department enforce our ordinances and our laws. And I understand the Tyree Nichols situation was absolutely tragic, but the proximate cause of his death was rogue cops behaving illegally, which they should be punished for to the full extent of the law. It wasn't the fact that he was pulled over.
Well,
It
if
led
he hadn't
to-
gotten pulled over, he would still be alive.
Yeah, I think that's distinct from the question of whether or not we should enforce the laws in the first place. People enforce laws all the time, and bad things eventually happen. The law wasn't the problem. It was rogue police officers who should be duly punished.
And it is distinguished from the point that the city council is not the proper body to be dealing with it. We're now caught in an endless cycle of posturing and doubling down on mistakes. JB just came back with some more rhetoric that is not going to stand us in good stead when we have to go, as you say, to Nashville with our hands up.
I just hope that the legislators are bigger people to say, I know that's wishful thinking, to say, we're not paying any attention to this, but we're not going to punish you.
I think they will. I think this will disappear.
I hope so.
Let's cross our fingers on that one. All right.